Senate will come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Senators Baisley, Bridges, Buckner, Coleman,
Let's do this. Excused.
Cutter, Danielson, Exum, Fields, Gardner, Janal, Gonzalez, Hansen, Hinrichsen, Jaquez Lewis, Kirkmeyer, Kolker, Liston, Lundin, Marchman, Moreno, Mullica, Pelton B, Pelton R, Priola, Rich, Roberts, Rodriguez, Simpson, Smallwood, Sullivan, Van Winkle, Will, Winter, Zenzinger, Mr. President.
Here. Morning roll call is 34 present, 0 absent, 1 excused. We do have a quorum. Will the good senator from Fort Collins please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Hope you've been practicing.
All weekend. Members, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Exum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate Journal of Thursday, April 6, with all the work that we got done, 2023, be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. That motion is adopted. Senate Services.
April 10, 2023, correctly printed. Senate Bill 271, Senate Joint Memorial 6, Senate Resolution 7, correctly engrossed. Senate Bills 1, 2, 32, 44, 82, 161, 177, 186, 193, 196, 202, 203, 208, and 209, correctly revised. House Bill 1094, 1143, 1167, 1168, correctly enrolled. Senate Bills 197, 215, 216, 217, 218, 219, 221, 222, 223, 224, 225, 226, 227, 230, 231, 233, 234, 235, 236, 237, 238, 239, 240, 242, 243, 244, 245, and 246.
Will the clerk please add Senator Coleman to the roll?
Let's do this.
Committee reports.
April 6, 2023, the Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1052 be referred to the Committee of the Whole, favorable recommendation with a recommendation it be placed on the consent calendar. House Concurrent Resolution 1002 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. April 6, 2023, the Committee on Finance, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 153 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations.
Third reading of bills. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate proceed out of order for consideration of resolutions.
The motion is for the Senate to proceed out of order for consideration of resolutions. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will proceed out of order. Consideration of resolutions. Will the clerk please read Senate Resolution 7?
Senate Resolution 7 by Senators Hansen and Simpson concerning the designation of April 18, 2023 as Colorado Electrical Line Worker Appreciation Day.
Senator Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of Senate Resolution 23-7 and ask that it be read at length.
Will the clerk please read Senate Resolution 7 at length?
Senate Resolution 7, Senators Hansen and Simpson, concerning the designation of April 18, 2023 as Colorado Electrical Line Worker Appreciation Day. Whereas the state of Colorado recognizes professional electrical line workers, the men and women who protect public safety and maintain the electrical infrastructure so critical to our lives and economic well-being, and whereas Colorado's electrical line workers are essential to maintaining electric service for all of Colorado's residents and businesses 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and whereas the electrical line worker profession is deeply rooted in personal, family, and professional traditions, and whereas electrical line workers are the first responders for utilities working to restore power during natural disasters and to ensure safe and reliable electricity for the public, and whereas electrical line workers work in dangerous conditions with thousands of volts of electricity and high atop power lines, at times far from their families, and at all hours of the day and night to maintain the electric infrastructure in times of storms and natural disasters. And whereas electrical line workers perform a critical and dangerous job, often putting their lives at risk with little recognition from the public of the danger of their work, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the 74th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, one, that we, the members of the Colorado Senate, A, recognize the hard work, dedication, and sacrifice that Colorado's electrical line workers provide every day to ensure that the citizens of Colorado have access to reliable and safe electricity. B, recognize those electrical line workers who have been injured or have lost their lives in service to this state and their communities while working to provide reliable electric service to our families, businesses, and communities. And C, continue to support private and public programs to ensure that sufficient numbers of electrical line workers are trained for this essential work. And 2, that we hereby designate April 18th, 2023, and April 18th of each year hereafter as Colorado Electrical Line Worker Appreciation Day to show our support for these essential workers. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Colorado Rural Electric Association.
Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. It's really an honor and please be seated. It's an honor and a privilege to bring this resolution forward to you today, and a special recognition of the electrical line workers. And there's about 25 of them here in the audience with us this morning. So appreciative of keeping the lights on in Colorado. There are folks here from San Isabel Electric Association, the Poudre Valley Rural Electric Association, Mountain View Electric Association, Mountain Parks Electric, United Power, and Black Hills Energy. Thank you all for being here today. Appreciate it immensely. I did reference I have a nephew, Cade Jones, if he graduates high school next month. We'll be headed to line worker school in Mesa, and look forward to him joining the ranks of such a prestigious group of folks. And again, appreciation for the efforts that you put forward in keeping the lights on in Colorado. Thank you all very much.
Senator Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, thanks for making time for this morning. This is one of those parts of our lives that we often take for granted, right? You flip on the switch and things happen. You turn on your microwave, your food gets hot. And we sometimes forget all the work that goes into making sure that that is reliably being delivered, electricity is being reliably delivered to our house second after second, and at just the right amount and just the right voltage. And that is arguably the most complicated machine that humankind has ever devised, and it's our line workers that make sure that it is in place for us hour after hour. And so the next time you're sitting at home comfortable with a bad storm that just hit, or for those unusual situations where a line does go down, an ice storm, et cetera, just be glad that they are out working hard in tough conditions, and not only in their own territories, but helping all the other territories around the state recover when a bad storm or a natural disaster hits. The other thing I wanted to highlight is that a lot of the work and discussions that we have here in the Senate revolve around the clean energy transition, how to make sure we're doing that in a reliable, sustainable way, talking about things like microgrids, talking about further electrification of our lives as we switch over to heat pumps and electric vehicles. All of that depends on a strong and reliable grid from top to bottom, and it's our line workers that make that happen. And so to all the line workers in Colorado, including from some of the folks who aren't joining us in the chamber today, from Xcel Energy and from the municipal utilities around the state, a huge thank you from the Colorado State Senate, and just so grateful for the incredible work that you do. Thank you.
I think we can clap to that.
Yeah.
Is there any members, I know this is a little strange, but this was a resolution, not a tribute, so we do still have to vote.
Yeah.
I know you were all ready to greet our guests. The motion is the adoption of Senate Resolution 7. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Resolution 7 is adopted. Co-sponsors.
Go ahead.
Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors on Senate Resolution 7. Members, we will now stand in a brief recess to greet our guests.
All right. Yeah, yeah.
Is that a Lightman song?
The Senate will come back to order. Third reading of bills. Final passage. Consent calendar. Will the clerk please read all of the titles to the bills on the consent calendar?
Senate Bill 1, Senators Robertson, Zenzinger, Representatives Burton Lukens, concerning additional functions of the Public-Private Collaboration Unit for public projects that provide housing and in connection therewith, making an appropriation. Senate Bill 2, Senators Mullica and Simpson, Representatives McCluskey and Bradfield, concerning seeking federal authorization for Medicaid reimbursement for services provided by a community health worker and in connection therewith, making an appropriation. Senate Bill 32, Senators Simpson and Janal, Representatives Lynch and Joseph, concerning the establishment of a wildfire detection technology system pilot program and in connection therewith, making an appropriation. Senate Bill 44, Senators Janal and Pelton R., Representatives McCormick and Winter T., concerning updates to the Veterinary Education Loan Repayment Program. Senate Bill 82, Senators Zenzinger and Kirkmeyer, Representatives Amabile and Michelson Janae, concerning creation of the Colorado Fostering Success Voucher Program to assist foster youth and in connection therewith, making an appropriation. Senate Bill 161, Senators Fenberg and Will, Representatives Lynch and McCluskey, concerning state funding to finance the purchase of a firefighting aircraft to respond to wildfires. Senate Bill 177, Senators Robertson Simpson, Representatives McCormick and Catlin, concerning the funding of Colorado Water Conservation Board projects and in connection therewith, making an appropriation. Senate Bill 196, Senators Winter F., Representative Young, concerning an extension of the income tax credit for retrofitting a residence to increase the residence's visitability. House Bill 1094, Representatives Lukens and Catlin, Senators Robertson, Pelton R., concerning modifications to the Agricultural Workforce Development Program. House Bill 1168, Representatives Scarpini and Joseph, Senator Winter F., concerning legal representation and due process complaint hearings for the parents of a student who may be eligible for special education services and in connection therewith, making an appropriation. Senate Bill 193, Senator Fields and Pelton B., Representative Weissman, concerning victim notification matters related to criminal proceedings. Senate Bill 203, Senator Fields, Representative Soper and Marshall, concerning the authority of the Office of the Inspector General and the Department of Corrections to apprehend fugitives. Senate Bill 209, Senators Janal and Rich, Representatives Taggart and Ricks, concerning removal of the date restriction and the definition of eligible borrower used to determine a business's eligibility for a small business recovery loan under the Clymer Act. Senate Bill 208, Senators Janal and Pelton B., Representative Epps, concerning modifications to certain tax statutes to correct defective cross-references.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of all the bills on the third reading consent calendar, which includes Senate Bills 1, 2, 32, 44, 82, 161, 177, 196, House Bills 1094 and 1168, Senate Bill 193, 203, 209, and 208.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills? Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, on Senate Bill 23161, concerning state funding to finance the purchase of a firefighting aircraft to respond to wildfires. I am certainly going to be an aye vote on this, but as the one of the founding legislators of the Colorado Firefighting Aerial Corps, I just want to say that I deeply regret that we don't have more funding to fund an entire squadron of fire helicopters.
The motion is the passage of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar. Are there any no votes? Senator Van Winkle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would request to be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 1, Senate Bill 2, Senate Bill 44, Senate Bill 82, House Bill 1094, House Bill 1168, and Senate Bill 203.
Senator Van Winkle will be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 1, Senate Bill 2, Senate Bill 44, Senate Bill 82, House Bill 1094, House Bill 1168, and Senate Bill 203. Senator Pelton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request to be a no vote on Senate Bill 1.
Senator Pelton B. will be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 1. Senator Pelton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 1 and on House Bill 1168.
Senator Pelton R. will be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 1168. Senator Baisley.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded, please, no vote on Senate Bill 1, Senate Bill 2, Senate Bill 44, Senate Bill 82, Senate Bill 196, House Bill 1094, House Bill 1168, and Senate Bill 203.
Senator Baisley will be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 1, Senate Bill 2, Senate Bill 44, Senate Bill 82, Senate Bill 196, House Bill 1094, House Bill 1168, and Senate Bill 203. Senator Smallwood.
Good morning, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 1, Senate Bill 44, and House Bill 1094.
Senator Smallwood will be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 1, Senate Bill 44, and House Bill 1094. Minority Leader Lundin.
Good morning, Mr. President. I request to be recorded as a no vote on 5 Senate bills, 1, 2, 44, 82, and 203.
Senator Lundin will be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bills 1, 2, 44, 82, and 203. Senator Liston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I wish to be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 1 and 2.
Senator Liston will be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bills 1 and 2. With a vote of 28 ayes, 7 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 1 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Jaquez Lewis, Majority Leader Moreno, Bridges, Exum, Mullica, Hanson, Janal, Marchman, Henriksen, Sullivan, Gonzalez, Cutter, Danielson, Buckner, Winter, Coleman. Please have the President. And Senator Priola. With a vote of 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 2 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Kolker, Jaquez Lewis, Sullivan, Cutter, Henriksen, Marchman, Majority Leader Moreno, Exum, Hanson, Fields, Janal, Zenzinger, Danielson, Priola, Winter, Buckner. Please add the President. With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 32 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Henriksen, Hanson, Roberts, Exum, Baisley, Will, Bridges, Cutter, Winter, Priola, Marchman, Buckner, Gardner. With a vote of 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 44 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Zenzinger, Winter, Roberts, Hanson, Pelton B., Simpson, Will, Rich, Liston, Priola, Henriksen. With a vote of 32 ayes, 3 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 82 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Mullica, Exum, Hanson, Gonzalez, Majority Leader Moreno, Janal, Bridges, Marchman, Sullivan, Henriksen, Priola, Buckner, Winter, Cutter. With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 161 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Roberts, Minority Leader Lundin, Gardner, Baisley, Van Winkle, Liston, Hanson, Smallwood, Jaquez Lewis, Marchman, Bridges, Priola, Winter, Cutter, Coleman, Buckner, no love, Majority Leader? Nothing? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 177 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Pelton B., Pelton R., Hanson, Will, Malika, Exum, Gonzalez, Jaquez Lewis, Minority Leader Lundin, Gardner, Rodriguez, Zenzinger, Buckner, Priola, Winter, Coleman, Cutter, Hendrickson, Marchman, Bridges, Kirkmeyer. Please have the President. With a vote of 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 196 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Smallwood, Malika, Exum, Gardner, Minority Leader Lundin, Hanson, Van Winkle, Gonzalez, Colker, Janal, Jaquez Lewis, Zenzinger, Bridges, Marchman, Hendrickson, Sullivan, Priola, Cutter, Buckner, Coleman, Simpson, with a vote of 32 ayes, 3 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1094 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Marchman, Hendrickson, Pelton B., Simpson, Will, Malika, Exum, Janal. Please have the President. With a vote of 32 ayes, 3 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1168 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Exum, Marchman, Hendrickson, Priola, Fields, Cutter, Buckner, Majority Leader Moreno, Rodriguez, Janal, Sullivan. With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 193 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Buckner, Coleman, Hendrickson, Priola, Cutter, Winter, Sullivan, Bridges, Exum, Gardner, Malika, Roberts, Hanson, Zenzinger, Baisley, Van Winkle. Gonzalez, Minority Leader Lundin, Pelton R., Rich, Marchman, with a vote of 32 ayes, 3 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 203 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Hendrickson, Priola, Majority Leader Moreno, Buckner, With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 209 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Zenzinger, Priola, Winter, Marchman, Cutter, Buckner, Coleman, Exum, Bridges. With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 208 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Bridges, Pelton R., Priola, third reading of bills, final passage. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 186?
Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 186?
Senate Bill 186, Senators Pelton R. and Winter F., Representatives Winter T. and Wilford concerning methane seepage in the Raton Basin of Colorado and in connection therewith requiring the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission to complete a study and making an appropriation.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for third reading and final passage, Senate Bill 186.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 186. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 186 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Henriksen, Priola, Cutter, Hawkes Lewis, Fields, Buckner, Bridges, Danielson, Hanson, Will, Exum, Marchman. Please add the President. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 202?
Senate Bill 202, Senators Danielson and Hawkes Lewis, Representatives McLaughlin and Velasco concerning the wearing of traditional Native American regalia at graduation ceremonies.
Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is my honor and privilege to move Senate Bill 202 on third reading and final passage.
Any final discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 202. Are there any no votes? Senators Gardner, Rich, Mr. Minority Leader, Baisley, Van Winkle, Pelton B., Liston, Pelton R. With a vote of 27 ayes, 8 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 202 is passed. Co-sponsors, Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Roberts, Exum, Mullica, Rodriguez, Fields, Priola, Buckner, Cutter, Henriksen, Marchman, Winter, Colker, Gonzalez, Janal, Hanson, Sullivan. Please add the President. Senator Will. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1143?
House Bill 1143, Representatives Kipp and Armagost, Senators Gonzalez and Kirkmeyer concerning measures related to seeking federal authorization for certain immigrants to possess firearms to be a peace officer.
Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move House Bill 1143 on third and final reading.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of House Bill 1143. Are there any no votes? Senators, Mr. Minority Leader Gardner, Baisley, Van Winkle. With a vote of 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1143 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Henriksen, Marchman, Jaquez Lewis, Priola, Cutter, Winter. Please add the President. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1167?
House Bill 1167, Representatives DeGroot, Kennedy, and Sharbini, Senator Rodriguez, concerning persons who report emergency overdose events in good faith.
Senator Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1167 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of House Bill 1167. Are there any no votes? Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Gardner, Rich, Baisley, Will, Van Winkle, Pelton R., Pelton B., Liston, Kirkmeyer, Smallwood. With a vote of 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1167 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Gonzalez, Mr. Majority Leader, Priola, Jaquez Lewis, Hanson, Marchman, Buckner, Winter, Cutter, Sullivan, Janal, Fields. Please add the President. General orders. Second reading of bills. Senator Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The Senate will resolve itself to the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, and Senator Cutter will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the titles to all the bills on general orders, second reading of bills? Oh, I apologize. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1190 and Senate Bill 206 lay over until tomorrow, Tuesday, April 11th.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. The motion is to lay over House Bill 1190 and, and Senate Bill 206 until tomorrow, April 11th. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1190 and Senate Bill 206 will lay over until April 11th. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's Senator Winter. Oh, I'm sorry. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 1095? Excuse me, House Bill 1095.
House Bill 1095, Representatives Woodrow and Lindsay, Senators Henriksen and Winter, concerning prohibiting the inclusion of certain provisions in written rental agreements.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the passage of House Bill 1095.
Is there any,
And the local government committee report.
is there any discussion on the committee report? Any discussion? One moment. The motion before the body is the adoption of the House Bill 1095 and the committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The committee report is adopted. To the bill. No, okay. Seeing no further discussion, there is a discussion. Senator Lundin.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Minority Leader Lundin.
All good. Just need to rise and not let this moment go passing, fleeting by without acknowledging this bill intrudes dramatically into what are traditional contracts between tenants and landlords. As so much of the policy that we deal with, everyone has in their mind a specific application of the law. I would suspect that the proponents are bringing in their mind a gigantic building owned by some out-of-state enormous corporation that they lease out to hapless individuals, and that those individuals need protection because it's some gigantic corporation that they're engaged with. But the reality is that's not the way so much of the tenant-landlord relationship exists. Frequently, it's a couple or an individual or partners that have scrimped and saved and built a small real estate portfolio with a duplex or two, or maybe just a single family home that they owned once and were able to pay down the mortgage far enough that they felt they could move on and buy something else for themselves, and then they lease out that remaining property or that prior property. This bill seeks to tell those individuals who put their life savings on the line what you may or may not do in terms of your contractual relationship with a person to whom you're giving access to your property. And to just let this sail through without at least raising an objection saying, you know what, on behalf of the small landlords, on behalf of the individuals who've risked their capital, and quite frankly, I don't mean to demean larger entities that have, by virtue of aggregating many investors, also own properties and therefore also have the rights to control their property and enter into a good faith, which the waiver for that is knocked away in this particular bill, enter into a good faith dialogue and discussion and contractual relationship around what the property access may look like. So I just have to step into the well and say, wow, since when did the state government get so smart that they could look into every detail of every situation and control every contract with regard to something as simple as the leasing out of a property or two, either by individuals or by individuals who gather together and invest their money into a corporation or a company that also owns and leases property. I rise in opposition to 1095.
Senator Hendrickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank the Minority Leader for that view on contracts and property rights. And I want to offer a bit of a different view. The first lease I signed on an apartment was when I was 19 years old. It was listed in the local newspaper. My roommate and I toured the place. We negotiated for 5 minutes with the landlord and then waited for 15 minutes while he typed up the lease agreement. It was a one-page lease agreement based on the terms that we had negotiated right there on the spot, and we signed it that day. That had started to become uncommon when I signed that lease, it's unheard of today. Almost every lease these days are 20 to 50 pages long. There is no negotiation on the terms. It's presented and you sign it. And what this bill seeks to do is to ensure that we're not losing the rights that tenants have had and that is expected for decades in Colorado, including the rights to a trial by jury, including the rights to a class action lawsuit, which is highly unlikely to affect Ma and Pa landlords. To get to a class action lawsuit, you need enough people, who all have the same problems to join in that class action lawsuit. So we're not talking about duplexes, which, by the way, duplexes, triplexes, auxiliary dwelling units that are owned by the landlord and where the landlord lives on the premises are exempt from the provisions of this bill. We're also seeing more and more frequently terms that require the payment of utilities at the time of rent to the landlord, who then pays the utility provider and charges an upcharge for those utilities. So if my garbage collection is $20 a month for my share, I pay that with my rent, but I might pay double that because my landlord charges a $20 upcharge for the service of being a third-party provider for that payment. Add that to your water, add that to your gas, add that to your electricity. A week ago, I spoke to a constituent of mine who, when he added up all of his upcharges, he's paying an extra $100 a month. This is a way, a new and with growing frequency, a way of masking the true rent on the place, which you will likely not discover until you're in that lease and you're contractually bound, typically for a year, to that apartment. That's what we're trying to get at. We're trying to return to a time when these rights that people have come to expect were not waved away and there weren't hidden charges that they find after they get into the apartment. I ask for an aye vote.
Senator Janal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I ask for a no vote on House Bill 1095. I understand where the bill sponsors are coming from, but I think this goes way too far in regards to, number one, the good senator from Pueblo said, leases are 20 to 50 pages long. I'm kind of wondering where you got those numbers from, because if you look on the Apartment Association's website to get a general lease agreement, they're about 3 pages long. I don't think, unless you're looking at lead paint or COVID-19 emergency issues that happened in the last several years, which are going away. Most leases are not that long. And also that, if you look at the issue of payment of utilities, and I think that the good senator from Pueblo said that they're required to pay utilities at the time of signing that lease, an upcharge. I have talked to many landlords, large and small, and I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. A lot of times now, utilities are going to be included in the rental price, because I've had experience myself that I rented out a small place, and tenant moved out, and until you start getting ready for the next tenant, you don't know that that particular person never paid their electric bill in 3 or 6 months worth of not paying their utility bills. And so you're stuck with it, or you could bring it to court. And the last thing a good landlord wants to do is bring it to court. So you're stuck with it and end up paying it. So I found a lot of people in my neck of the woods in Fort Collins and other places within the state are including utilities in the rental payment. So that's maybe a good thing and maybe a bad thing. A lot of people aren't going to be able to afford a rental that also includes $400 a month or something to that effect for gas and electric. And then on top of that, another charge for water, however you figure it out. But I just think this is going a little bit too far in regards to a contractual agreement. Again, leases are not 20 to 50 pages long, and I think you're going to find that rentals are going to go up in price for deposit and per month because landlords are going to start including utilities in their rental, in that monthly payment. So I'm opposed to House Bill 1095.
Senator Hendrickson. And then
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the good senator from Larimer County. So over half of apartment leases are beyond 20 pages long. The last 2 leases that I signed before I bought a house, I still have copies in my safety deposit or my fire safe box. One is 44 pages, one's 41 pages. Those were both Colorado leases. And we are seeing increasingly upcharges of services, and it's not, as my as my constituent had anticipated it would be, it's not like $3.95 for a service charge. It's increasingly excessive. That's separate from the other issue that deals with utilities, where there's non-payment of utilities. And this bill preserves a landlord's right to recover for that non-payment. There can still be eviction based on that in Colorado Revised Statutes 13-40-104E. There is also the ability to retain security deposits to cover said amounts in Colorado Revised Statutes 38-12-103. And there are other protections under CRS 1340-107.5. So I want to address those concerns and again reiterate my request for an aye vote.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, colleagues, as I sit here and think about this bill, and as I read this bill, I realize that there really aren't enough hours, there really isn't enough time to fully explain to you everything that is wrong with this bill between now and 1:30 this afternoon. And so I'm not even going to try to do it between now and 1:30 this afternoon. I'm going to take the time that we need. Members, I fear that many do not understand this bill and its implications. I mean, when you start with the bill summary, let's just take a look at what the summary says it's going to do. It says the bill creates a right of first refusal of a local government to match an acceptable offer for the sale of a residential or mixed-use multifamily property. Now, you have to go back to understand this, really. You have to go back to the very basics of property law and ownership. Are we not on 1190? All right, never mind. Never mind.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1095. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title of Senate Bill 187?
Senate Bill 187, Senators Winter, F. and Rodriguez, concerning
Senator
fees
Winter.
paid to the Public Utilities Commission by operators of transportation services in the state and in connection therewith, requiring the Public Utilities Commission to establish fees administratively.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 187 and the Transportation Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We made some quick adjustments in the Transportation Committee for some of the T&Cs that brought everyone to neutral on this bill, and I encourage yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of the Transportation and Energy Committee report. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a modernization of the transportation fees under the Public Utilities Commission, while also making sure that we're reducing the barriers for rider-owned apps to come into the market, and I encourage yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 187. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the committee is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report it has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 187 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1095 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered, revised, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1190 and Senate Bill 206 laid over until April 11, 2023, and retaining their place on the calendar.
Senator Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
The motion is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 23-187 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1095 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered, revised, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1190, Senate Bill 206 laid over until 4/11/2023 and retaining their place on the calendar. Consideration of House amendments to Senate bills. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 228?
Senate Bill 228, Senators Bridges and Kirkmeyer, Representatives Byrd and Bockenfeld, concerning the creation of the Office for Administrative Services for Independent Agencies in the Judicial Department and in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate concur with House changes to Senate Bill 228.
Is there any discussion? Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. They were technical in nature.
The motion is that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 228. Are there any no votes?
You guys are so funny.
With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, the motion is adopted. Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for passage,
Repassage.
repassage of,
Senatorial 5.
Senatorial 5 has been requested and granted. Senator Bridges. Or Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for repassage of Senate Bill 23-228.
The motion is a repassage of Senate Bill 228. Are there any no votes? Senators Van Winkle, Liston, Baisley, with a vote of 32 ayes, 3 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 228 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Will the clerk read the title to Senate Bill 229?
Senate Bill 229, Senators Bridges and Kirkmeyer, Representatives Sirota and Buckenfield, concerning the Office of the Statewide Behavioral Health Court Liaison and in connection therewith, making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 229. They were technical in nature.
Is there any discussion? The motion is that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 229. Are there any no votes? Seeing none, with a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, the motion is adopted. Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for repassage of Senate Bill 229.
The motion is the repassage of Senate Bill 229. Are there any no votes? Senators Rich, Baisley, Van Winkle, Liston. With a vote of 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 229 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Will the clerk, Senator Buckner.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it's the thought that counts.
He just like dashes it.
Man, he's just cruel. Anyone else?
Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 241?
Senate Bill 241, Senators Bridges and Kirkmeyer, Representatives Byrd and Buckenfield, concerning the creation of the Office of School Safety and in connection therewith requiring the Director of the Office of School Safety to appoint a grants manager, creating a crisis response unit within the Office of School Safety, specifying that the Office of School Safety has oversight over the School Safety Resource Center, specifying that the School Access for Emergency Response Grant Program is administered by the Office of School Safety, creating a Youth Violence Grant Program administered by the Office and making an appropriation.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate reject the House amendments to Senate Bill 241 and that a conference committee be appointed.
Is there any discussion? Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. There were some changes made to that bill, and we just want to make sure that we are aligned with the House and the Senate on this, and so we would like to go and talk with them about the changes they made and why.
Senator Zinzinger.
And members, just as a reminder, the prior two bills made technical changes that did not affect the appropriation. The differences between the Senate and the House on Senate Bill 241 do affect the appropriation, and so our intention is to bring it to conference with the budget package, since it is an orbital bill that was affiliated with the budget. So those are the reasons why we are going to conference, is so that we can consider it along with the budget amendments that were made to 214.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make sure that the body knows that should I be appointed to that conference committee, which I do hope I will be, that I will be fighting to preserve the Senate's intent on this bill.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion is that the Senate not concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 241 and that a conference committee be appointed. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, the motion is adopted. Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. Out of an abundance of caution, I request the Conference Committee on Senate Bill 241 be given permission to go beyond the scope of the differences between the two houses.
The motion of the body is to grant permission to the conferees on the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 241 to go beyond the scope of the differences between the two houses. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and permission is granted.
Thank you.
Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 220?
Senate Bill 220 by Senators Zenzinger and Kirkmeyer, Representatives Byrd and Sirota, concerning the use of money previously allocated for public schools and in connection therewith reducing an appropriation.
Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate reject the House amendments to Senate Bill 220 and request that a conference committee be formed.
Is there any discussion? Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, again, this is another orbital bill in which there were amendments that were made in both the House and the Senate, and we are bringing this one to conference with us as we did with the last bill because it has to do with the appropriation and not technical changes to the bill.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion is that the Senate not concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 220 and that a conference committee be appointed. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, that motion is adopted. Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request that the Conference Committee for Senate Bill 220 be given permission to go beyond the scope of the differences between the two houses.
The motion for the body is to grant permission to the conferees on the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 220 to go beyond the scope of the differences between the two houses. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and permission is granted. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 214?
Senate Bill 214, Senator Zenzinger, Representative Byrd, concerning the provision for the payment of the expenses of the executive, legislative, and judicial departments of the state of Colorado and of its agencies and institutions for and during the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023, accepted as otherwise noted.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate reject the House amendments to Senate Bill 214 and request that a conference committee be formed.
Is there any discussion? Senator Zenzinger.
Believe it or not, the House actually spent more money than we did. I mean, this is a shocker, but regardless, we would like to be able to arm wrestle over those changes in conference committee, and we request an aye vote.
The motion is that the Senate not concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 214 and that a conference committee be appointed. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, the motion is adopted. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request that the Conference Committee on Senate Bill 214 be given permission to go beyond the scope of differences between the two houses.
The motion for the body is to grant permission to the conferees on the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 214 to go beyond the scope of the differences between the two houses. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and permission is granted. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to thank whomever produced this desk calendar for us, because on Monday, April 10th, it had our motions for today for consideration of House amendments. So whoever put that together must have known. So just saying thank you for that.
You know, that's a great point. I think we should all give a round of applause to Jama. Thank you for putting together the calendar. Consideration of governor's appointments. Consent calendar. Will the clerk please read all the appointments listed on the consent calendar?
Member of the Board of Mortgage mortgage loan originators for a term expiring August 10, 2026. Shirley Thielen of Louisville, Colorado, to serve as a representative of the public at large, appointed member of the Undergrad Damage Prevention Safety Commission for a term expiring January 1st, 2026. Eric Lewin of Morrison, Colorado, to serve as a representative of municipalities, appointed member of the Advisory Committee to the Property Tax Administrator for a term expiring September 1st, 2025. Tyrone Coleman of Alamosa, Colorado, to serve as a non-assessor from the Western Slope occasion by the resignation of Azar Madrigal Chase of Alamosa, Colorado, appointed.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of all the appointments on the consent calendar, which includes the member of the Board of Mortgage Loan Originators, the member of the Underground Damage Prevention Safety Commission, and the member of the Advisory Committee to the Property Tax Administrator.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the confirmation of all the appointments on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, those appointments are confirmed. Introduction of resolutions.
House Concurrent Resolution 1001, Representatives Weisman and Lynch, Senators Gardner and Gonzalez, submitting to the registered electors of the state of Colorado an amendment to the Colorado Constitution concerning judicial discipline and in connection therewith, establishing an independent judicial discipline adjudicative board, setting standards for judicial review of a discipline case, and clarifying when discipline proceedings become public.
Judiciary. Introduction of bills.
Senate Bill 272, Senator Moreno, Representative McCluskey, concerning a joint legislative committee meeting about a disaster emergency declaration by the governor.
Appropriations.
House Bill 1019, Representatives Weisman and Lynch, Senators Gardner and Gonzalez, concerning judicial discipline and in connection therewith, ensuring complainant rights in judicial discipline proceedings and making an appropriation.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1205, Representatives Lynch and Bacon, Senators Gardner and Moreno, concerning the creation of the Office of the Judicial Discipline Ombudsman and in connection therewith, making an appropriation.
Judiciary. Message from the governor.
December 16, 2022, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the Constitution and the laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, appoint, reappoint, and submit to your consideration the following members of the Board of Trustees for Adams State University for a term expiring December 31st, 2024. Leroy Salazar of Alamosa, Colorado, occasioned by the resignation of Amanda De La Rosa of Denver, Colorado, appointed for a term expiring December 31st, 2025. Dwayne Bussey of Alamosa, Colorado, occasioned by the resignation of Jennifer Mueller of Alamosa, Colorado, appointed effective January 1st, 2023 for terms expiring December 31st, 2026. Karen Middleton of Aurora, Colorado, appointed. Thomas Kim of Centennial, Colorado, appointed. Sincerely, Jared Polis, Governor.
Education. Announcements. Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, tomorrow morning, 8:30 outside the old Supreme Court, McDonald's will be serving breakfast and have a number of their franchisees. If you'd like to drop by and have a conversation and maybe an Egg McMuffin or some coffee, I'm sure they'll have it.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, the Senate Judiciary Committee will be meeting this afternoon at 1:30 in the old Supreme Court. We will be taking up the bills as listed and printed on the calendar. I do also just want to announce that on Wednesday, our Senate Judiciary Committee will be meeting at 2 p.m. as opposed to 1:30, and just want to let folks know that we will be delayed on Wednesday by half an hour. Thank you.
Senator Buckner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an announcement. Senate Education will meet today in room 357 at 1:30. We have one bill, and that is Senate Bill 258. Yes, good bill, vote yes, double yes. And on Wednesday, Education will be meeting at 2 p.m. instead of 1:30. Thank you.
Senator Pelton R.
Thank Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow morning, 7:15, down in the basement, Dan File will be there again to give a Bible study and also to feed us breakfast. So show up down there. Thank you.
Senator Liston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I see on our desk, this is your chance to be green, to meet the people who keep the greens green. So on Wednesday morning, April the 12th, down in the West Foyer, meet the good people who keep the golf courses green, whether you play golf or not. They are environmentally correct, and they would love to meet you.
Senator Hawkins Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Local Government and Housing Committee will meet tomorrow in room 352. We'll be hearing Senate Bill 184.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Transportation and Energy members, we have one quick appointment today that we will be hearing at 1:30, and we are moving our Wednesday time until 2 p.m. We have one bill on Wednesday at 2 p.m. So 1:30 today for an appointment, 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Thank you.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. The good senator from Arvada pointed out earlier that today the calendar says exactly what we did, the moving to reject House amendments. The calendar also says, in the bottom right corner, you'll notice, 29 days until Sine Die. That means over the weekend, we passed the 90-day mark. And so, the Senate of the Colorado Legislature, convened in the first regular session of the 74th General Assembly, hereby extends heartiest congratulations to Senator Bob Gardner. The members of the Colorado Senate are proud to celebrate 90 days of service to the state of Colorado, recognizing the good senator from El Paso's steadfast dedication to working 30 fewer days. In his honor, we declare today Senator Bob Gardner Day.
Wow.
Congratulations on this momentous occasion for our favorite simple country lawyer.
Senator Bridges, would you like a moment of personal privilege?
Yes, thank you.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
From the top, the Senate of the College. Just kidding. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, as you saw earlier, I really do need a break, so I'll know what bill we're on. I would like to say that I'm rendered speechless, but this is not the case. It is such a tribute, though, that I am very grateful. We could be done today.
Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. After conferring with the Majority Leader and the Minority Leader, I request to be excused this Friday, April the 14th.
Signing of bills.
April 10, 2023, the President has signed Senate Bills 3796, 146, 150, 188, and 197.
Yeah.
You mean from the microphone? Yes. Maybe I'll just move that we be done. Done. I move that we're done.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Seeing no further announcements, I move that the Senate recess until 1 p.m. today. Colleagues, you do not need to return. We're just reading bills across the desk.
The motion is for the Senate to recess until 1 p.m. today. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will recess until 1 p.m. today.